ring those once you go down. You must be crazy if you think that I'ma slow down. Don't wanna hear it talking shit, fuck the drama. Keep it coming, I'ma send you to your mama. Mr. Whip, 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 get the guns out. Dropping bodies in the place till the sun's out. Can't fuck with me, so don't even try. Cause when the bullets fly, I'm the last one to die. Slow down, don't wanna hear it talking shit, fuck the drama. You keep it coming, I'ma send you to your mama. Mr. Whip, quick clip, get the guns out. Dropping bodies into place till the sun's out. Can't fuck with me, so don't even try. Cause when the bullets fly, I'm the last one to die.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the ATL Hurricane Podcast, man. This is episode 5. I want to appreciate everybody that's been here from day one. Everybody that's still here, man. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you drop a comment. Any questions you got about anything, man. So in this episode, we will be introducing the Falcons segment of the ATL Hurricane Podcast called the Rise Up Nation. Y'all already know. I really don't know, what the little hand logo is of the Falcons, but anyways, Rise Up Nation. If you're a Falcon fan, you know what it is, man. A lot of people may think, how am I a University of Miami and Atlanta Falcons fan? And some people may associate me living in Atlanta right now with me being a Falcons fan. No, that's actually not quite it. I've been a Falcons fan way longer than I've been living in Atlanta. Um, it just happened to be that way, man. We're gonna get into that a little later in this episode, man. But I definitely appreciate everybody for constantly showing up for your boy, So without further ado, man, this is episode 5. Like I said, episode 5, man. I'm so proud. And man, I'm gonna continue being consistent with this thing. And man, hopefully you guys love all the content that's being dropped. If you have any suggestions how it can improve, let me know. It will be taken into consideration. So again, this is the first installment for the Rise Up Nation segment. We already got, the U segment, all about my Hurricanes. Hurricane fans, y'all know what's up. Even if you're not a Falcons fan, man, and you just, a football fan, casual football fan, I'd like to welcome you. Maybe I can give you guys a little more insight on the Atlanta Falcons. We've been from bottom feeding to mediocre since we lost, that devastating Super Bowl against the Patriots when we was up 28-3. I know, kind of embarrassing, honestly, pretty embarrassing. But through the ups and downs, man, I'm still a Falcons fan. Still a Falcons fan. Like I say, man, on this episode, we really just gonna touch on the state of the organization, man. First, I'm gonna talk about how I became a Falcons fan. Like I said, we're gonna talk about the state of the organization, man. How has Raheem Morris fared in his technically second stint as head coach, even though his first stint was interim head coach back in 2020. But we're gonna talk about his first full season, as head coach, man. Kind of, dive into the 2024 season. And just briefly, man, we're not gonna touch it too much, just briefly, go over some highlights, lowlights of, the season. And we're gonna speak on the city vibe around the team, man. How does the city feel about the team? How does the team impact the city, as it returns, from being good and competitive, So first things first. How did Nuke Waves become an Atlanta Falcons fan? Okay, so as you all may already know, if you've been here since the first episode of the podcast, I am born and raised in Miami, Florida. But I am not a Miami Dolphins fan. I love everything Miami except the Dolphins. Okay. I love the Marlins. Man, I even pull for the Panthers. I don't even watch hockey. You feel me? But, of course, love the Heat and love the U, man. Love my Kings. So how I got to being an Atlanta Falcons fan. Okay. Funny enough. Okay, so I played Little League football, which down in Miami we call Optimus. Other places they may call it Pop Warner, or youth football, whatever the case may be. So I played for a park called Northwest Boys Club, and our mascot, or our team, nickname or whatever, was the Falcons. We wore black, red, white, those jerseys, those colors rather. We was the Falcons, man. So that was my first introduction to Falcons. And then, this was like back in like 98. Ain't trying to speak too much on my age, but it is what it is. This is back when I was a youngin' though. I was real small. And so that was one, like I say, my introduction to just liking the Falcons because it was part of the park I played for. And then on top of that, in 98, like I say, the Falcons was riding high because we was in the Super Bowl in 98. I believe that was our first appearance in the Super Bowl. Maybe, back in the day we was in the Super Bowl. I don't know. But definitely in 98 we was in the Super Bowl with Chris Chandler as our starting quarterback. And we was playing the Denver Broncos. Got beat. Then we got smashed actually in the Super Bowl, if I can remember. Again, quite devastating. But, within that, one of my favorite players, which actually became one of my favorite players, was the running back for the Atlanta Falcons at that time, which his name was Jamal Anderson. I don't know if he created it, but he was definitely the one that was sporting the Dirty Bird, celebration dance. Them guys, your guys remember the Dirty Bird dance. All right, so, his name was Jamal Anderson. And lucky for me, my name is also Jamal. Not Anderson, but Jamal. So took a liking to that. Boom. Fast forward a few years later. Like you guys know, I'm a UM fan. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, one of our biggest rivals was Virginia Tech. And they had this left-handed quarterback named Mike Vick, who was like really electrifying player, man. So he ended up being our number one draft pick in 2001. Instantly became a Mike Vick fan. So that continued, my fandom in the squad, and I just been there ever since, man. Even after Vic, man, I've been there, and it's been what it was, man. We've had our ups, we've had some really good ups, and had some terrible downs, within that time span. Like I say, since '98 is like really the first I can remember of actually liking those guys, the Falcons. So for I say about 27 years now, I've been an Atlanta Falcons fan. So there you have it. How me, a young man from Miami, Florida, became an Atlanta Falcons fan. All right, so we're gonna move on to the state of the organization, man. I'll say like I said at the end of my statements about me becoming a fan, it's been some ups and downs, in the organization. But as of late, it's been looking a little bit more up, a little bit more promising, I'll say. You know, um, after not making the playoffs since 2007, the Atlanta Falcons felt that they needed to make a change, a culture-based change, So in that they hired Raheem Morris, who used to be the defensive coordinator for the Super Bowl winning LA Rams. Back in 2022, he was the defensive coordinator of the Super Bowl winning team. So they brought him in as head coach, 24, beginning of 24, which was, last season. He was previously the interim head coach, back in 2020 after, I believe, I can't remember who exactly got fired. I want to say, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I kind of blanked out after we lost in 2017, to the Super Bowl. Anyways, he was also he had previous head coaching experience back in 2009 through 2011 with the Tampa Bay Bucks, which I don't think fared too well. He was a very, very young coach back then. So we hired him back in 24. And with this move, he actually became the first ever full-time black head coach of the organization, man. And I really think it reinvigorated, some energy back into the organization because, like I say, we have been lacking that, since we lost the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan, was on the back end of his career, man. So we were trying to find some more juice. And I think this was a great hire at the time. I really, really believe this was a great hire. The city was really behind it because, again, he had already been here before. If you guys know about Atlanta, Black Mecca of the U.S. So, it's a really big Black contingency here. And a lot of people was really excited about this hire, man. Excuse me. So, man, entering, the previous season, like I say, it started off promising, had a little lull in the middle, and it ended promising. So I think coming into this season, we definitely are looking up, entering the 25 season, heightened expectation. Like I say, coming off that promising first year, we come in with an offense that's actually really, really good, and we're built to contend for a division title, which we haven't won again since 2017. Excuse me. And but we have an unproven defense. Defense really lacked a lot, especially around, the once we had our mid-season skid to the end of the season, man, defense really let us down last year. But like I say, promise. This is a lot of promise. There's been some pushback on ownership, and as an under that, there's been pushback that the organization has been underwhelming. Like I say, since our Super Bowl appearance in 2017 with the owner Arthur Blank, which led to an expansion in the ownership group. Bringing on Olympic legend Dominique Dawes and film producer Will Packer. And they joined as limited partners. And honestly, I don't really know how to feel about that, because I really believe that you want to bring people, even though it is a business. It is a business owning a sports franchise, yes. But I also feel like at the top, you need people who are either fans of the game or know the game in order to move into a winning spirit. Sometimes, you got guys, I'm sorry to say it, like Jerry Jones, who's more concerned about just making the most money, which I understand, but he's more concerned about making money than he is really about winning on the field, to be completely honest. Because honestly, if he cared about winning on the field, he wouldn't put his players through as much for them to get paid when he got the money. You're the highest. Anyways, we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about the Cowgirls. Sorry. Hopefully there's some Cowgirl fans out there. Sorry. But yeah, man, with Morris's leadership, and his philosophy, can it prove to be the right move to bring Atlanta back to league prominence and competitiveness week to week? And there was a big debate on whether it was the right decision to hire Morris instead of Bill Belichick. We see how Bill Belichick is faring in college right now. So that's that. But anyways, man, like I was saying, excuse me, Raheem Morris's, first year, and what areas can he improve in as a head coach? Again, he's still, relatively young. I believe he's only in his 40s now, so it's like he was in his 30s when he first, tried his stint, but young 30s. But now he's in his mid 40s, and he's giving that another crack, man. So again, like I say, we definitely started the season on some highs, man. We started, like I say, what was it? We started the season 6-3. We started the season 6-3, and it was looking so good. We're like, okay, we in this thing. It was the best start since 2016, which is the year before we went to the Super Bowl. And it was like, okay, we got some momentum. We brought in Kirk Cousins, man, from where was he at? Minnesota. Yeah, he was at Minnesota before he came brought in Kirk Cousins, gave this man all his money, $180 million, 100 guaranteed, and I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I didn't hate the move because I believe Kirk Cousins was and is still a very valuable veteran in this league. And he does win a lot of regular season games. Just hasn't won anything in the playoffs. But I just believe at the price point that we got him at, that we paid for him, was for an elite quarterback. And I do not feel like Kirk Cousins was ever an elite quarterback. So that's what made me very how can I say it? It just wasn't sitting right with me. Bringing him in with all that money. If we could have brought him in for less, I would have been fine with that. Maybe for half, or maybe $100 million contract, and then maybe 60 or so guaranteed. That's cool. But 180 and 100 guaranteed, like now he's the highest paid backup in the league for sure. Excuse me. Can't happen, man. So again, we started off strong, 6-3. We had a lot of momentum going into the season. We started the first 9 games great, but then we had a 4-game skid, lost 4 straight games, and a lot of that was due to turnovers. As Kirk Cousins led the league in interceptions with 16. And he was benched in week 15, so it still was 3 weeks left in the season when he got benched. So he could have easily surpassed 20, easily. And then there was also a lot of defensive breakdowns, like I said, on the back end. He wasn't getting a lot of quarterback pressures, man. Our leader in sacks, man. Let me see. Our leader in sacks last year was Caden Ellis, man, with 5 sacks and 11 quarterback knockdowns. Like, that is terrible. 5 sacks being your leader. Like, that's just crazy, man. Defense really, really, really let us down. Secondary, we was 31st in the league. Like, we allowed touchdowns on 6% of opponent passes, man. It was 31st in the league. Struggles with D. Alford, man, compounded with issues. And even though AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates, man, were the bright spots of the secondary, man, the rest of the secondary was trash. I'm not even gonna lie. Special teams as well, which we'll get into that next episode, man, because that was the reason, we lost week 1. Special teams. Young Ho Koo, man, who's a Pro Bowl kicker, yo. Missed 9 field goals and led the league and the team led the league in misses with 12. So that means even the backup was missing. Like, it's just crazy. Even though we had a bright spot with our returner, Kadero Hodge, who is back again this year. He made it to the Pro Bowl as a returner, so that was a bright spot about special teams and defense. But other than that, with defense, it was never good. Maybe after the bye, the pass rush got a little better, but again, our leader had 5 sacks. That's not good. But the bright spot about the team last year was definitely the offense. Like I said, we started off 6-3. Bijan Robinson led the way, almost 2,000 total yards from scrimmage, man. He had 1,456 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns, had 431 receiving yards, and another extra receiving touchdown. So he had almost 1,900 yards and 15 total touchdowns. That is wonderful. Okay, Drake London, 1,000-yard receiver, 1,271 yards on 100 catches, 9 touchdowns. Also, we almost had 2,000-yard receivers because Darnell Mooney was a really good slot receiver, shifty guy, had 64 catches for 992 yards and 5 TDs. Mooney, I believe, is starting the season injured, so he'll probably be back in a few weeks. And we had some consistency on the O line. You know, we've ever since we drafted Jake Matthews, man, honestly, we've had consistency at the offensive line. You know, he's been that anchor. Um, and he's also earned a contract extension over the offseason. But with Matthews and Lindstrom and McGrary, which I believe McGrary is hurt this year, so we're gonna. I'm not even sure how long he's going to be out. But we the offense showed a lot of efficiency and promise because, as I said, by week 15, Kirk Cousins, who led the league in interceptions again, was benched for our number 8 overall pick from the draft, from last year's draft. Our rookie Michael Penix Jr., who I believe is really going to be the future of the squad. Like, I believe we got our quarterback with Michael Penix. The offense, like I said, continued to produce once Penix got into the game. We were top 6 in total yards. We was 5th in passing yards, 10th in rushing yards, and 13th in points per game. So last year, the offense was really good last year. You know, it was a playoff contending offense, but a very lackluster defense. Kind of like how my Hurricanes were last year. But instead, I mean, Hurricanes, we had the number 1 total offense. Okay, no comparison. Never mind. Forget I even said that. All right, so again, you know, our overall record last year was 8-9. We ended up second in the NFC, behind Tampa Bay. Missed the playoffs though. Had to let go of our DC, Jim Lake. I believe that was his name, Jim Lake. Yeah, Jim Lake. Had to let him go. Sorry, guy. And D-line coach had to go. Sorry, D-line was terrible last year. Okay. Again, Cousins started the season first 15 games. Well, first 14 games, I would assume. And Penix, you know, ended the season the last 3 games. I believe we went did we go 2-1 or something like 1-2? Maybe we went on 2, but it was very promising 1-2. Yeah, man, you know, Bijan Robinson really looking as elite as we thought he was going to be coming out of Texas. And Drake London really looking really good as a big receiver, big time receiver, possession guy, has really good hands, fights, you know, for those tough catches, man. High points the ball. I really think, you know, 2025 was looking promising for us, man. We definitely did a overhaul on the defense. We made some cap room. You know, we're letting go of Grady Jarrett, who was a long time, you know, stalwart. But it freed up $16 million in cap space, you know. Again, we re-signed Jake Long. Signed, you know, a veteran pass rusher in Leonard Floyd and Morgan Fox, you know, for the interior. We brought in cornerback Mike Hughes and Mike Ford. And also we brought in Jordan Fuller in the safety position, man. Also boosted up our special teams, bringing in Jamal Agnew on a 1-year rental. You know, we'll see how he goes. But again, we re-signed Kadero Hodge, who was a Pro Bowler last year, which is great. Also signed linebacker Devon Diablo, who's bringing some athleticism and run stopping ability at linebacker, which we really need. We haven't had a good linebacker in a while. But yeah, man, you know, with our offseason draft picks, we really boosted up our D-line, man, drafting 2 really good DNs in the first round. We had 2 really good picks in the first round with Jalen Walker from Georgia and James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. Both of those guys have been standing out in camp, and I believe James Pierce is getting a lot of burn. He's starting as a rookie. Also as a rookie starting, Xavier Watts, who's a safety from Notre Dame, 3rd round pick. Great pickup, man. Also got Billy Bauman, who was a safety. So Jack Nelson, offensive tackle, in the 7th round. I mean, we actually signed all our entire rookie class. Um, I think we are just one of 8 teams that, actually signed our whole rookie class. Um, like I say, man, we really made some much needed adjustments. We made some much needed adjustments. Okay, really needed to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much how the first season for Morris um went. And so what's some areas that Morris can improve on, coming into season 2? um you know some to add um to the mid-season lag, the little losing streak we had. We lost 4 straight games. Kirk Cousins, didn't leave him in too long. Should he have been pulled? I think they were more so worried about bringing in Penix in his rookie season on too early. Trying to maybe giving them too much, at one time. But maybe it could have saved our season. Who knows? That's either here nor there. Um, who knows if we would have been able to save our season, man? Who knows? But again, some of the struggles exhibited last year was bad clock management, which ultimately culminated in the team missing out on the postseason, because even in the last game, it was some bad clock management. Lack of communication on the defensive side, man. No pass rush, which really is not a good look. Being from a defensive minded coach, man, you would assume that the defense would be on lock. It's like, all right, we're bringing in a defensive minded coach. Defense should be on lock. Instead, it was the offense that was, you know, the bright spot of the team, and the defense was not. Um, again, man, was Kirk Cousins given a leash that was too long? Should it have been reeled back sooner? We would never know. Morris's, ability to motivate the players and have that deep connection with his players, because he would be looked at as a player's coach, right? um it makes players want to play for that coach, but it's like, are you really that disciplinarian that you need for discipline, to have a disciplined team? That is still yet to be seen. Again, there was a lot of lulls in the season last year, but it was promising. 8-9 record after some very mediocre, less than mediocre seasons, man. It was promising. Like I say, it was promising. Ultimately, if Morris is the right guy or not for the job to turn the organization around, it's still yet to be seen. Does he lay too much faith, at the feet of the roster? Maybe he falls victim to, like, really believing, the hype of, okay, these guys are, decent or really good, blah, 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 blah. I don't think you can really, you have to push these guys for greatness and just more and just excellence, man. Like, it has to be a every week thing. Okay, it has to be a every week thing. So now we're gonna talk about um now we're gonna talk about the city's connection to the team, Atlanta, right? So there's a certain pride that is worn since living in Atlanta. I've noticed, like, man, it's a lot of pride in Atlanta for the Falcons, man. That's why, the slogan "Rise Up" was created, because, it brings connectivity and unity to the city. It's like everybody is behind the team, stand up for the team and the city. And it's like, we won, we got the spirit of courage and fight. It's just, we just gonna stay in it no matter what. but it's tough sometimes. It's definitely tough. I know my Dolphin contingency out there, all my boys that's Dolphin fans, you guys know, man, it's hard, man. It's hard when them bad seasons are bad, man. Bad seasons are bad, Like I say, that Super Bowl loss, it hurt. Being up 25 points, it hurt. But gotta do what you gotta do, right? But all in all, man, this city loves the Falcons. And I think we're gonna have a pretty good year in 25, man. So again, I would love to thank you guys for um showing up. Episode 5, first ever Atlanta Falcons segment, Rise Up Nation, man. On the next episode, man, we are going to touch on, the week 1 loss that we had against the Bucks, 23-20. And we're gonna do some film reaction, so that's gonna be touched on the next episode. And then before the weekend, man, we are also gonna drop a preview of week 2, our week 2 matchup. Let me see, week 2 matchup where we play we played the Vikings this week, and we are at Minnesota. So we're gonna touch on that a little bit as well in the next episode. So, well, not the next episode, but before the weekend. It's gonna be 2 episodes of the Rise Up podcast. Well, not the Rise Up podcast, but the Rise Up Nation segment of the podcast. It's gonna be 2 episodes dropped today, which is Thursday. Dropping 2 of these bad boys. So again, man, love to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, continue if you love the content, continue to support by just liking, sharing with everybody you know. All your sports fans, share this content with them. Subscribe to the channel, man. Hit that notification bell so you do get notified when I drop all the content that I drop, whether it's music, whether it's the Hurricanes podcast, Atlanta Falcons podcast, Miami Heat Talk. We are here, okay? So again, thank everybody for coming. Stay tuned for the next one, man. All right, y'all. Peace.